So the Smartline project is funded by the European Regional Development Fund. It's a partnership project led by the University of Exeter, and we're working with Coastline Housing, Volunteer Cornwall and Cornwall Council. And what it's about is understanding how technology can help us live healthier and happier lives. And the whole project revolves around community development activities, business support, which is looking at innovative products in the e-health and e-wellbeing market. So here we are today with Foam and Access Lizard Adventure, and they were two businesses that came to us, and Foam had this amazing Sonic technology, and Access Lizard Adventure wanted to make kayaking more accessible. And actually by bringing those two together, they could explore how they could advance this technology to benefit those who are visually impaired.
So the Sonic Kayak works by a preloaded map. So in advance, we look at the map on a computer, and you can just draw shapes on the map on the computer, and then you attach a sound to the shape on the map. So then in real life, when you paddle through that shape on the map, then a sound will play out of the Sonic Kayak. And yeah, that can be anything from poetry, music, to the sort of beeps that we're using as navigational tools.
So initially we did an in-residence application with Smartline, and that allowed us to work with an organisation called Foam to help them develop the technology and help to test that technology in the initial stages. And then the next step of funding was developing it even further, ironing out all the technical difficulties and testing it with visually impaired users. And it's allowed us to have this lovely open event today where we've got a nice group of visually impaired people to go kayaking, and several of them have never been kayaking before.
So Smartline has enabled all of this to happen. Without them, we wouldn't have had the connections. So part of the project is that they put us together with the technology developers. So they'd originally developed this to be used on a bike. And when Smartline told us about it, we was like, why can't it be used on a kayak? And if we used it on a kayak, if we put sounds on a kayak, there's a whole different user group that kayaking could be opened up to. And that's the guys with visual impairments. And even those who are totally blind don't need that sense to come out on a kayak. If they can hear sounds, they can use it for orientation, they can use it to explore the nature, and they can use it to give themselves a bit of mental health and well-being.
Okay, my visual impairment is actually physical damage to the eyes. Basically, I had a brain tumour when I was 3, which basically crushed the optic nerves in the back of my eyes. So I have no sight whatsoever in my right eye, and only 10% left in my left eye. I haven't done kayaking before, well, once when I was in secondary school, but with a group of people. With this experience, I had the confidence to go out there with the tactile maps and the sonic, the sonar canoes. It gave you a general idea of what shape the lake was, which zones you were entering, and how to basically pilot around it. I, feel confident enough that I could probably do it by myself at this point, which is something I never thought I'd have as a visually impaired person.
So Smartline have allowed us to develop this project in a completely different direction to how we were before, and working with completely different groups of people. So that actually the whole water sports angle with the kayak, with the Sonic Kayaking, we hadn't really explored before. So that was really good for that.
I was able to be a bit, independent out on the water, which again is what this project is kind of all about. Because you're using technology to enable disabled people to go boating effectively.
I found it very interesting, and I found it very peaceful and a lot of freedom. When you're on the lake, it's very, with the atmosphere of the poetry and the music and listening to all the sounds around as well. It was just very atmospheric, and it's nice if you've got visual impairment, because sometimes you don't get much freedom, and I found that very good.
So I think the main impact of this project has been bringing together the companies, the different people involved, and all the kind of ideas that come out of that we wouldn't have had otherwise. So we're already talking a lot about things we could do in the future, and making the sounds in a different way, and using the system differently. So it just starts all those kinds of conversations going.
It has the potential to go in other things like paddle boards, you know, and gig rowing and stuff like that. There is no end of where this can go, and I can't wait to see how this progresses. And I hope to come and trial some more, because again, that feeling of being out in the water on your own in a solo boat, just following all the sounds, it was brilliant. You know, that is what it's all about, is independence, and this is what it's going to give people.
I think what's been fantastic about today is it really shows what the Smartline project is about, and that's about bringing people together. It's bringing communities together, it's bringing businesses together, and it's about understanding how we can develop technology to help people live healthier and happier lives. And we've got Access Lizard Adventure, we've got Foam, we've got the visually impaired community, we've got Insight Cornwall, all coming together to test this technology to make sure that it's actually meeting the needs of the people who are going to use it, but also enables Foam to advance this technology into other areas they hadn't even thought about, and for Access Lizard Adventure to actually bring more services, and actually hearing the users, and the users saying, I wouldn't have thought of doing this before, I wouldn't have been able to do this has opened a whole new area for me, and that's just fantastic, and it's just so great to be part of such a project.